At Lowe's, this Veterans Day and every day, verified military members, veterans, and their spouses get automatic silver status in My Lowe's Rewards with free standard shipping, plus 10% off eligible purchases with no annual limit. It's one way we honor and give back to those who have served and still do. Learn more now at lowes.com/military. 10% discount can't be combined with another offer. Exclusions, terms, and conditions apply. Loyalty program subject to terms and conditions. Details at lowes.com/terms. Subject to change.
More news and information coming up. We'll be back in a moment.
Good tasty food is worth living for. Worried about your oil every time you enjoy your favorite meal? Introducing Golden Terra Smart Balance Oil. Smart Balance Rice Bran Oil is rich in gamma oryzanol. Several studies suggest that gamma oryzanol may contribute to the reduction of bad cholesterol. Golden Terra Smart Balance Oil. Good food, no worries.
No buy am.
But why?
No see say this big bull bag of rice no get the new big bull holographic seal.
Not true.
Introducing the Big Bull Holographic Seal Tape, your favorite authentic Big Bull rice, 50 kg and 25 kg. Now with holographic seal tape. This is to ensure you get the premium product from Big Bull Rice. Do not buy if the holographic seal tape is not on the bag or is broken. Big Bull Rice. Tasty rice nourished you.
Unstoppable you, fueling your vitality the whole day through. Embrace each challenge with renewed might. With Supermalt, your performance takes flight.
With 20 essential vitamins, minerals, and nutrients, one Supermalt multivitamin after breakfast every day keeps you going.
Your meals into a masterpiece.
Unwrap joy, unleash taste. Hey, come cook with Terra Cubes. Come cook with Terra.
Are you finding it difficult listening to your favorite talk radio Nigeria info via the mobile app? Come closer. Let me fix that for you. Now, launch the app on your device. Click the 3 lines on the top left corner of the app. Look for settings in the drop-down menu and click on it. Turn on the first option that you see. Make sure you turn on the option that says always use highest quality available audio. Now that you have done that, close the app and relaunch it. Voila! I did it! Oh, sorry, you did it. Now you can enjoy your radio anywhere, anytime. Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We're back.
We are back.
We're back on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Understanding Nigeria starts with asking better questions. Hard facts on Nigeria Info, the nation's #1 talk news and sports radio station. Let's talk.
Okay, I've just got 1 minute to step out of the studio. I want to thank you all for being part of the conversation and having a great talk with me. All right, this one's from Merchant Man. He says, may the good Lord bless you and surprise you with the best guinea desire of your heart. Thank you very much for the birthday messages. All of you are amazing. Thank you for all the prayers. Thank you, all those who called, all who texted, all who posted and reposted. Amazing. You guys know how to make a girl feel special. Ireti Bakare-Yusuf joins us at the top of the hour with Borderlines. There's a lot to unpack. You cannot afford to miss it. I'll be back here on Monday on Hard Facts. My name is Marianne Okon. Follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Threads. Find me on LinkedIn, Marianne Duke Okon. And when you do, say hello.
This is Hard Facts. Stay informed and stay connected on 99.3.
I think questions against Pengasoners, who are they fighting for?
I mean, this Pengason is supposed to serve the interests of the country first.
This incident has showed us from the design stage we lack safety culture.
They're telling us that Nigeria's rental market is spiraling.
You don't put personal interest above national interest.
There are things that are in this country that some people travel to come and learn, like my culture.
Oh, okay.
The Independent National Electoral Commission has dismissed claims that Nigerians have lost confidence in the country's electoral system.
So Nigeria is exporting oil, and Nigeria is also importing petrol. How about that?
Well, what would have informed you rejecting an emergency case? That's what I'm saying. Gunshot wounds are emergency.
It's always more conversation on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. It's 4 o'clock.
And now the business news.
.3 Nigeria Info. Yes, news. Nigeria's oil revenue dropped by 22% to 3.9 trillion naira in the last quarter of 2024. The Budget Office blames the fall on lower global prices, production challenges, and persistent oil theft. But there is a silver lining. Non-oil revenue went up, cushioning some of the impact. Analysts say the figures only once again show Analysts say the figures once again show Nigeria's heavy dependence on oil. 11 people have been arrested here in Nigeria as part of Operation Catalyst. It is a major Interpol crackdown on terrorism financing across Africa. The coordinated operation also ran in Angola, Cameroon, Kenya, Namibia, and South Sudan. A total of 83 suspects have been picked up. Investigators uncovered what they are calling a massive crypto Ponzi scheme, one that hit over 100,000 victims in 17 countries, including Nigeria. It's worth a staggering $562 million, and officials believe some of the money may have been used to fund terrorism. So far, about $600,000 has been seized. Lagos says it's done just talking about climate change. It's now turning the challenge into an opportunity. Environment Commissioner Tokunbo Wahab says the state is pushing ahead with plans to grow what he calls the blue economy and green finance. That will be the big focus at this year's Lagos International Climate Change Summit coming up November 6 and 7. The goal, he says, is simple. Turn problems like flooding and sea level rise into solutions that actually drive growth. He also is warning residents to stop dumping plastics and sewage into the lagoon as the state steps up cleanup patrols and enforces the ban on single-use plastics and styrofoam. And that's all for the news. I am Buluwatife. Jegede Borderlines is up next with Ireti Bakare-Yusuf.
Value of information.
Nigeria Info is information.
Join the conversation round the clock.
Only on 99.3
Nigeria Info.
Let's talk.
From Washington to Beijing, Moscow to Abuja, London to Kigali, the world is shifting fast. Elections are shaping destinies. Wars are redrawing borders. Economies are rising and falling. And global alliances are being tested like never before. But what does it all mean for you?
With a new administration and a new president in the White House trying to put an end to the war.
I didn't know the historical context, what the state of Israel means for them.
Join the fearless Ireti Bakare-Yusuf on Borderlines every Friday at 4 p.m. on Nigeria Info 99.3. as she dissects the biggest global events and their impact on world peace.
Those who are not familiar with Israel or the war itself would not know much about the group breaking the silence.
No spin, no propaganda, just deep insights and fearless conversations on the geopolitics shaping our world.
People who will call and start telling you about the Bible prophecy about America and everything. See, America is not in the Bible. There's some people who just share the ideology of, yes, we and these people, we are equal, but they can't speak up.
Borderlines on Nigeria Info every Friday at 4 p.m. The world is changing. Don't just watch, understand it. Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
Good afternoon and welcome to Borderlines, the only show that takes you beyond borders. My name is Ireti Bakare-Yusuf. Thank you for joining us again. So, as you all know, it all happened in Sharm el-Sheikh. Donald Trump called it a historic breakthrough and the dawn of, and I quote, a new peace. But the latest ceasefire brokered by the United States came into effect on the 10th of October. It was meant to signal the turning point. Yet, according to Gaza's media office, Israel has already violated the truce at least, again I repeat, at least 47 times, killing nearly more than, in fact, I shouldn't say nearly more than, killing more than 100 Palestinians to date. Today, he's been here many times before. He's back again, but this time we can't keep him for an hour, so you guys can't be getting carried away. He's a friend of the house. We love his brain. We love his knowledge. We learn a lot from him. He needs no introduction, but you should know he is the president of the U.S. Middle East Project. And he is also a former Israeli peace negotiator. If you don't already know now, log off because you should know who Daniel Levy is. Daniel, and he's an Arsenal supporter. I can say that.
Exactly. And I can smile about it now.
For a change. I'm always teasing him about Arsenal. So, and then as soon as I stopped teasing him, they started winning. I have nothing to say to that.
Exactly. So stop teasing me.
How are you, Daniel? I know you don't have much time. So I'm going to get straight to it. Sharm el-Sheikh, Trump, historic breakthrough. He said a dawn of a new peace. He said he's broken a war of 3,000 years or whatever. I was there. I was in Sharm el-Sheikh. This is not about what I think. What did you make of that? I called it a razzmatazz, if I may say so. What would you call it?
Yeah, it was. It was in so many ways the Trump traveling circus, but I want to actually draw a distinction between two things, okay? Because he did something, and he was the lead on this. It was a bit more complicated than that, but he was the lead on this that really matters. He has put in place, it's fragile, but it's a ceasefire where the daily mass toll of killing, destruction, starvation, displacement of Palestinians in Gaza has mostly come to an end. There's been a decisive breakpoint. Those 20 remaining living military-age Israelis being held in Gaza were released. Palestinian prisoners held in Israeli prisons, almost 2,000, many of whom detained without trial or put into jail by military tribunals of an illegal military occupation. They were released. Aid is starting to get in. Israel's still playing a game with that aid. But that is all really meaningful, consequential stuff. It happened also because of international pressure, but it happened because of Trump. And then there's the other part of this, which is the show, the spectacle, but also the fictional, fantastical, unreal claims. Exactly what you refer to. I put an end to 3,000. No, you haven't. The state of war still exists. Israel still occupies half of Gaza, controls the rest of Gaza, all of the West Bank, East Jerusalem. There is still a state of war. This isn't the end of a 3,000-year conflict. I don't even think it's serious to talk about 3,000-year conflict. There is no plan there. The plan is bare bones. It's not implementable. It doesn't allow Palestinians to govern themselves. It never once mentions the West Bank even. So the bombastic claims are a shame because they distract from what was a real achievement. But for that achievement to be sustained and for that achievement to become peace, you have to be serious and get into the detail. And that's not happening.
And isn't that the worry, though? Isn't that the problem? Because the devil, pardon the pun, because people go into religious places here, is in that detail. And unfortunately, the leader of the devil in that detail is one that doesn't do detail. So what happens with this next phase?
So what we've seen so far, because absolutely, the details really matter. So there is no actual mechanism for getting the aid in. Israel is still turning on and off the tap, even though we see how desperately in need people are. For instance, there's this thing called a yellow line in Gaza. So half of Gaza, approximately, is still under the control of Israel. Now, Gaza is a very crowded and now totally obliterated place. But the neighborhoods and cities where Palestinians used to live and where they want to go back to now to see, does anything remain of my home, of my goods, of my belongings? Very often in those cities and neighborhoods, Israel is in part of the neighborhood and Israel is not in the other part. And Palestinians can, wander from one area to the other, not knowing, get shot. That has happened. So there isn't the detail. And therefore, what we have at the moment is not only a fragile ceasefire. And again, now let's give a word of credit. Because it is so fragile, you have had very high maintenance American engagement to keep it going, right? You've sent the vice president, the son-in-law, Jared Kushner. You've sent the envoy, Witkoff. Now you have the Secretary of State, Rubio. I don't think they're going to be able to sustain that. Some people, by the way, they call the nickname for the Israeli prime minister is Bibi. Some people are calling this Bibi sitting because they've got to make sure that he doesn't go too far off the plan. So, yes, they have made the effort to keep the ceasefire going, but all the other things that need to happen that could be a basis for peace, those things aren't happening, partly because this plan has an awful lot of Netanyahu's fingerprints on it. And now what we're seeing is that Israel is arming and paying gangs in Gaza to go in and cause chaos. I think they're trying to foment a civil war there. Meanwhile, in the other part of the Palestinian territory where there's an active military occupation by Israel in the West Bank, you're still seeing people being displaced, land being stolen, checkpoints preventing Palestinians going from one space to the other, people being killed, people being arrested. So we are still deep in the brown stuff.
And this is it. That brown stuff is where everybody seems to have gotten, where they get stuck. It's a bit like getting stuck in the mud, because it happened with Oslo 1, it happened with Oslo 2, and here we are. What are we going to call this? Sharm el-Sheikh 1, I guess.
Nice.
Right? Sharm el-Sheikh 1. So Palestinians are, especially Gazans, should I say, are thankful that the bombs are not raining on their heads anymore. Killings are still going on, but it's not raining. Palestinians or Gazans are happy that they are able to walk to their homes, even if it's a rubble. Those who don't have a home, they are still living in tents, as I saw yesterday on Al Jazeera. I think it was someone living in tents on top of burial grounds.
Yes.
Israel, one of the deal was Israel was supposed to get the bodies of dead hostages back to the families. Everybody wants to be able to register to bury their loved ones, to bury their dead, because even in Africa we all have a ritual, we all have a way, we have a prayer, etc., etc. It doesn't feel like closure. It doesn't feel complete. But nobody's talking about the dead Palestinians. All that was returned to Gaza were Palestinians who have been in Israeli hostage, who effectively look much more disheveled and abused and speak of horror and terror. But nobody's talking about the dead, the bodies of Palestinians, which is still being held in Israel. Is that part of the deal? Or are we just to sort of just look beyond that and get on with the nice bits?
Well, there are the technical details, and then there's the wrapping, kind of the wrapping paper that goes around this. So in terms of the details, Israel should be returning the dead bodies. And as you say, people want closure. Every tradition has its way of parting with loved ones. And it's absolutely right that the bodies of the Israelis should be returned. Now, one of the things that we knew during the negotiations is if Israel kept this yellow line, and if Israel insisted on certain things, it wasn't going to be easy, and perhaps in some cases impossible, to get to some of those bodies. So Israel has tried to use that as a pretext for not maintaining the ceasefire. The Americans haven't allowed that to happen so far. So one has to hope that the Israeli bodies will be returned. Israel hasn't returned all the Palestinian bodies, and what we have now learned from various press sources, which have been quite well documented and verified, is that many of the Palestinian bodies that have been sent back either in a very decomposed condition, where Israel has the capacity to keep those bodies. It's not like Israel was bombing Gaza incessantly, impossible conditions for and bombing hospitals for keeping bodies in a certain way. But that attempt and that effort was apparently made. But many of those Palestinian bodies returned are decomposed. Some have also shown signs of mutilation and torture. So that's factually what's going on. But I wanted to talk about the wrapping around that, because you mentioned something that's really important, which is how are the two things related to? And it seems another instance where Palestinian lives don't matter and Israeli lives assume a superior importance. Now, I don't want Israeli lives not to matter. I just want everyone to be treated equally. We are all born on this world as people. And so, and let's look at the main guy here, President Trump. He has met the families of Israelis who had loved ones held, who had loved ones killed, who were waiting for bodies to be returned. He has met them, and his senior officials have met them on many, many occasions. And great that he did that. But not once has he or an American senior official met the family the Palestinian family of a victim of the Gaza genocide, the Palestinian families of those who've been impacted, who've lost their homes, who've been displaced, who've gone through this hell, the families of journalists or aid workers or health workers who have been killed. And, one of the reasons we got to this place is the severe dehumanization of Palestinians. And it just feels like another occasion where, if the Western world sees you as Israeli and white, you are treated in one way. If the Western world sees you as Palestinian and other, you are treated in another way. And I think the really hard bit is somehow Israeli society, and I focused a lot on the destruction on the Palestinian side, and rightly so, but somehow Israeli society has to be pulled back from the really troubling place it is in, because over the course of 2 years, consent has been manufactured in a society for a genocide. And that somehow now needs to be reverse engineered. And people need to know that that's not okay. They need to confront what they have done. And there probably needs to be accountability for what has gone on.
Indeed. I mean, just to sort of extend to what you said, I remember watching an interview on 60 Minutes with Jared Kushner and Steve Witkoff. And they kept referring to Hamas, as if every single member of the Politburo is called Hamas. And I'm thinking to myself, where is the sort of individuality? You said you sat with Khalil Al-Waya, I think his name is. You talked to him about what it's like to both lose his son, because his son was killed in Qatar. But yet you refer to him as Hamas. You don't refer to him as name, but yet you want to connect on the basis of loss. How do you do that? Which is quite bizarre to me. But we don't have...
Can I jump in there?
Yeah, go on.
Because, again, it's this weird kind of paradox with this administration. So on the one hand, and this really is the obvious thing to do, they sat with Hamas, right? As you just said. Which no American administration formally previously did and acknowledged, and the Biden administration didn't do it, and the European governments don't do it, and it's the most bloody obvious thing to do. You sit with the protagonists in a conflict. They are a political movement as well. But at the same time, as you say, they have this view that any Palestinian death, any Israeli action of cruelty can somehow be excused because they're all Hamas. They're just this undifferentiated mass blob. You accord them no humanity. And even that one story, and it was Witkoff who said it because he lost a son, that we bonded over our mutual loss. So Witkoff's son died of a drug overdose, and I'm not belittling the pain or the loss or the significance of that. Khalil El-Haya's son was killed in an Israeli military strike intentionally in a city, Doha, where America has its military presence, because America allowed it to do so, using American weaponry and American warplanes. I'm sorry, my friend, that is not the same thing, okay? And if you're going to bond on a human level, accord that humanity to Palestinians writ large.
Indeed. I wish I could hold you down, but I'll get in trouble with you will get in trouble with your people.
Yeah, I'll get in trouble.
You'll get in trouble. Let's talk about the open letter, Jews Demand Action. The few points that are made in there says the ceasefire must be the beginning, not the end. The letter also says Israel's actions may meet the legal definition of genocide. Unpack both of those for us. But what I did find interesting as well, if you could answer that, I saw the letter and thank you for sharing it. There were no names attached to it. So no Jewish organization, no Jewish name. So who are Jews Demand Action? Who are the people that put that together?
Okay, so on the website, which is Jews Demand Action, you have the names of the more well-known signatories. Thousands of people signed up in the 48 hours since this has gone public. But this is people from the worlds of culture, academia, the former Speaker of the Israeli Parliament, the Knesset, yours truly, authors, professors of Holocaust studies at Hebrew University. So it's a well-known and quite serious group, and one that is still growing and from around the world as well. And it came together because, I mean, first of all, let me say something really obvious. There has never been in history, nor would it be a healthy thing if there were, only one Jewish opinion, right? I mean, you know, in any community, in any religious or national group, we disagree.
Absolutely.
Fine. That's healthy. That's good. And so it's not new for us to be disagreeing. And it's not new for there to be Jewish people who say, I'm not comfortable with what Israel is doing. But something else happened over the last 2 years. And of course, so many of us were in shock when those first incidents of October 7th happened. But then so many of us were like, wait, what are you doing in response? What? Listen, don't pretend that this came out of thin air. It can't be justified. But decades of keeping people under a siege, a blockade, decades of occupation, decades of treating Palestinians inhumanely, and now you do this? Now there is open acknowledgement of collective punishment and genocidal intent, and you're taking pride in your cruelty. And this is the key bit. And you're saying that you're doing it in our collective name? That this is the Jewish thing to do? Stop right there. And many people over these 2 years have come out, had their own protests, been part of other protests, and said, not in our name. This is, we are a people who, for many of us at least, draw on a tradition of a universal ethic of equality, of being born in God's image. We have suffered in our history. And now we do this as Jewish destiny? No, that's not going to happen. And so what people have, and what was behind this petition is also to say, in this moment of ceasefire, for which we are very grateful, let's not go back to our old bad habits. Let's not pretend that this can be business as usual. We need a fundamental rethink. Because if we believe that when a single life is lost, an entire world is lost, then in our tradition, as we understand it, there's no carve-out clause. There's no little asterisk. Terms and conditions do not apply to Palestinians. If you kill a Palestinian, then a whole universe hasn't been lost. No, it applies to any human life. And that is how we understand our tradition and our faith and our commitment to the future. And my hope is, and I don't think it's a totally naive hope, that more and more people are questioning what is being done and are saying, not in our name. And we want, so we're having this is a conversation amongst ourselves, but it's also a conversation with the outside world, which is don't judge by what this guy, Netanyahu, or his government, or the radicals over there are doing, because it is important to send that message to the outside world. And I think people want to hear that message. I think people want to say, listen, we've got nothing against Jewish people. You know, we know a little bit, maybe a lot, maybe a little bit about your people, your history. We want to believe you are that kind of people, not that kind of people. And so it was very important to do this and put this out, and to acknowledge that I think the words we use there is we hang our heads in immeasurable sorrow that this shows evidence of being a genocide. I can stay with you a few more minutes if you'll have. I've messaged someone that I've got 5 more minutes.
Daniel, you know, what can I say? Your family.
Well, you could say no. I don't want you away, but
we want you. We want you. Because I've still got 2 more, if not 3 more questions. So here's the thing. I'm glad you mentioned that, Monolith, because in fact, this extension gives me an opportunity to go back into what you've just said without me having to kind of jump over quickly. I'm glad you mentioned that no society is a monolith. And indeed, when I read that letter, and I've had Rachel Shabi, who I've also interviewed. I've read her book. And there are so many, Ilan Pape, Finkus. There are so many. Miko Peled, who's coming on after you. Here's the thing, though. It is critically important that, you guys are speaking up and taking on that responsibility and saying, we are these people that you say you're doing this for. One of the things, but it also reminds me of, and it's because you mentioned that monolith, gosh, is that we didn't hear much, or we hardly ever heard. At least I went to school in England. I know you did, and I don't know what you were taught, but nobody ever told us about the anti-Nazi Germans.
Yes.
They didn't talk about them. So we were left believing that every single German was pro-Hitler. It was something that disturbed me. Not at that time, because I was a child. Much, much later, and even more so now, that led me into research. And we thank God for documentaries and everything, because we can cheat without reading a book now, watch a documentary, and then take the research further and stuff. So this monolith is that, and the same exists with Palestinians. But when it comes to Palestinians, it is often presented as no consensus amongst the Palestinians. And I keep saying, I don't why is the Palestinian supposed to be one? I'm a Nigerian, we're not one. Heck, I'm Yoruba, we're not one. Heck, my sisters, we're not one. We totally disagree on several levels, albeit still being together. Talk to us about that. Why is the same thing not afforded to the Palestinians? Why are they constantly expected to speak as one?
So, let me say three things. One, I totally agree. Within that agreement, there is a subset of that point of the unrealistic expectation for Palestinians to speak as one. There is a subset of that which is at least worth acknowledging, which is if you are a people living under occupation, under apartheid, without your freedom, without your rights, it still hasn't achieved that. The onus is to create enough unity that you have a joint strategy. So we all remember back to South Africa. Of course, the ANC wasn't the only movement. There's the Pan-African Congress. Its motto was one settler, one bullet. There was the Inkatha Freedom Party,
absolutely,
which kind of made its peace with the regime. There were the Bantustan collaborator leaders of the...
Even the ANC weren't one. Even the ANC were not one.
But you had enough. You need a leadership that can show enough unity that it can guide the struggle of a people. So I just want to acknowledge that. Mm-hmm. I want to say one thing about that education in the UK. Of course, the things you mentioned weren't the only things we didn't learn about. I just reached up into my drawer. I mean, this book, Empire Land.
Oh, thank you for that. Okay, I should write it down. Yeah.
I mean, we didn't learn that in English schools either, did we?
No, we didn't.
We just learned it was glorious. The sun never set on the British Empire, and that's all there was to know about
I only remember the Battle of Hastings. I keep telling everybody that's all I remember.
And then the last thing I want to say on this is and it's one of the points we make in the letter. And you mentioned there were anti-Nazi Germans. That we remember as Jews in our history, those who stood up against persecution. And one of the things that's been most painful in the last 2 years is that we have seen people who've stood up against what's being done, and we've often stood with them, and we have seen them being vilified and hounded and cancelled for anti-Semitism. And we see in those people very often the same people who stood with us in our time of need, and now they are being treated in that way. And so we also want to show solidarity with those who are unfairly being tarnished. Indeed. And I'll do one more question.
One more question. Here's the big one then. So, of course, this is the big
who's
one.
Who's going to win the league?
Not Arsenal. Right. So, of course...
If we don't win, I know who to blame.
It's not going to be Arsenal. If they win, I promise... We can swap positions.
You're
and
you can. On the show.
No, you can question me. You can interview me.
Okay, it's a deal. If we win, I'm on the show. I'm in charge.
You're in charge. Absolutely. Right. So, very quickly, you're of course the son of Lord Levy. Those who don't know who Lord Levy is, he's big, huge. When you hear Lord That's no small. We're not talking about that Lord you've got in the Bible that you guys can all contest about. We are talking Lord Levy. Lord Levy, of course, worked with Tony Blair whilst he was Prime Minister. He was your dad was the advisor to Tony Blair. And here you are, clearly a liberal, Jewish, human rights, I don't know if I can say pro-Palestine, but I can certainly say a campaigner for both groups for equality. Now we have Tony Blair as CEO of Trump's new empire in Gaza, and everybody is against it. What are your thoughts on that? Especially TBI, the Tony Blair Institute, and the history of it all.
Look, I don't know whether he will play that role. I don't know whether it's going to go forward. I certainly haven't spoken to him. There was obviously his name was mentioned very clearly. It's talked about less, but it could go forward. The problem for me, and of course, Tony Blair in that region, given the Iraq War, given the role he played in it, that's not something that is making people feel warm and fuzzy and positive about this idea. I think the main issue for me is, what do the Palestinians say? Because this role of who runs Gaza, outside help is one thing. The imposition of what feels like a colonial structure in the third decade of the 21st century, it feels like the charter for a reconstituted Dutch East India Company or something, right? That's the wrong starting place. So I don't care whether it's Tony or anyone else. I want to know, have the Palestinian people been consulted? Have they been given a space to say, this is what we want to see in our land after it's been destroyed? And it begins and ends with the answer to that question. And that's where
the Palestinians have said no. Look, everybody, we're out of time. He will be back. Daniel, he still believes Arsenal's going to win, so he's got to come back. Thank you so much. I know your peeps are already messaging you. Thank you for giving up the time. Now you leave me to do the hard work. I have to answer all their questions.
Enjoy.
Bye-bye. Thank you so much, Daniel Levy.
Thank you.
Above and beyond borders. It's Borderline
with Ireti Bakare-Yusuf.
Welcome back to Borderlines. That was Daniel Levy. You see, we actually got in a lot of discussion in that short time. Some of you were already calling. You can call. Let's have an open mic because my next guest is not here for another 20 odd minutes or so. Right? So feel free to call. Which one is working? Which number is working? This one. None of them. Which one is? All of them. Right, 0201 277 0. You're already calling. Okay, let me give you priority. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon. What?
Good afternoon, merchants man. How are you?
I'm fine. I enjoyed your program.
Thank you.
My question is, will you be the one to answer the question or your guest?
I think I will be, right? Yes.
Okay. You will try as much as you can to answer the question.
I will.
My question is like this, ma. Now that Israel decided to flout the ceasefire agreement and went on to kill as much as 45 Palestinians. The ceasefire has been flattered for 45 times, right? According to I got from you.
Yeah.
So now that truce has been truncated, what will be the implication, or how would America handle that issue of that truce flouting?
Okay, so let me tell you what's happened. If you want to listen, because nobody's calling yet, you can call. But since you're not calling, I'll give Merchant Man my time. It's a good question you asked. Since Israel violated, that's one of the reasons why you saw America sending, or Donald Trump sending in all his boys. So you had J.D. Vance, you had Jared Kushner, you had Steve Witkoff, each one of them, and then lately you had Marco Rubio. Each one of them was sent there to actually stop it. Now, what Israel said was that they that because Hamas hadn't released the bodies of the dead Israeli hostages, they felt that, I'm paraphrasing, that Hamas was playing games. However, what the Americans, and indeed President Trump, acknowledged is that, look, we knew in this deal, Hamas did say it's going to take us a while because Gaza is a rubble. We've got to find them, etc., etc. So that was the excuse that Israel were using. Israel also said or claimed that Hamas militants were actually attacking them. We don't know. I can't say whether that is a lie or truth, but those were the reasons Israel said. Having said all of that, the one thing America has done is they have stopped Israel from carrying on. They did actually step up, and I have to say, like Daniel said, the unorthodoxy of President Donald Trump actually appears to be what is working on Prime Minister Netanyahu, and indeed his far-right group. Is that an answer for you?
It's a very good answer. It's just
Thank
that
you. They're
like
ringing
anyhow,
now. They're ringing now. I gotta go, Merchant Man. I give you time.
All right. Thank you very much, man. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Hello. You need to turn off your radio.
Hello?
Yes.
Yeah, good evening.
Good evening.
Yeah, Badamosi from Silvere.
Go ahead, Pastor Badamosi.
Yeah, I'm thinking, is Gaza a new model of colony from Americans?
Of colonize, yes. Yeah.
They want to colonize Gaza now as a unit. Yeah, there's a new colonization. Is that a model? Is that what Trump's trying to do?
Well, it's a good question you ask. Some would argue, certainly, that, like Daniel said, this is another form of neo-colonization, taking over and trying to rule. On the other hand, President Trump will say to you, or the Americans will say to you, look, we are trying to stop this genocide from carrying on. And so far, it has worked. And the reason we have been able to do this is because we rose up to take control. Now, if you're asking what I think, personally, I do believe as long as the Palestinians are not invited to contribute in the conversation, as long as the opinions of the Palestinians has not been sought, indeed, as long as there was no Palestinian leader in this whole thing, then yes, it is colonization. In actual fact, if you remember the Berlin conference, go and check it. That's what it reminds us of, Pastor Badamasi.
Hello?
Yes,
Hello?
I'm here. I'm here.
Can America give Gaza or the Palestinians independence?
Absolutely. America can say, and it's again, this is the last question I'll answer from you because people are calling now. Absolutely. America can say, if President Donald Trump were to wake up, or even in the next hour, and say, I, as the President of America, grant the Palestinians their freedom, I assure you, Israel will go on fire. They would scramble all over the place. But certainly, Israel will have to get to the table because, and this is what's missing. This is what every single American president has not been able to say. They keep thinking.
I think Donald Trump will win his Peace Prize, the Nobel Peace Prize.
If you were to do that, perhaps. Thank you. Hello. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. What's your name? Where are you calling from, please?
I'm calling from Isheda. I'm Yusuf by name.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. The ceasefire meeting was held in Egypt.
Yes.
What is the opinion of the Arab? Can they be part of the international forces that will make peace part of it so that they can deter all these things? Or are they afraid? Or why should they even be part of the ceasefire?
Okay.
If they cannot even have a standing voice in those things.
Okay,
That's
can I answer
question.
your question? You want to wait? Right. It was signed in Sharm el-Sheikh in Egypt, and the Arabs were a part of that. That is the thing. The 4 countries that signed, I think, was Turkey, Qatar, USA, and the 4th one is out of my head, might have been Egypt. So the Arabs were a part of that. Indeed, the Arabs did agree to that peace plan. The peace plan that was signed in Sharm el-Sheikh that led to this ceasefire. So the Arabs indeed seem to be believing that this current cease plan will work. In actual fact, if I may remind you, you may not know, but let me tell you this. Yesterday there was a vote at the Knesset. The vote was the first part of a 4-part process. The first part was a vote for Israel to annex the West Bank. It wasn't yesterday, it was the day before, actually, I think. Although I think it came out on the news yesterday. To access the West Bank. Once that vote was passed, although, and this is important, when the vote was going on, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu abstained. All of his Likud party, except one, abstained. The others ruled for it. Now, why is this important? Immediately that was done, the Americans stood up and said, no. In fact, President Donald Trump said, if Israel does that, if Israel annexes the West Bank, they will lose U.S. support. And he said the reason why, because he had promised the Arabs that he would never allow the annexation of West Bank to happen. Now, that's not to say the Arabs have done great up until this time. That's just to answer your question. This is what the Arabs have been doing. So in a way, they've stood up to be counted more recently. But in another side, on the opposite side of that, and this is where the work of diplomacy is possibly most annoying, dirty, ugly, it's not pretty, is that you've seen the Arab countries trying to ingratiate themselves to the United States for their own security. I hope that answers your question. Wow. Hello.
Hello, CCOB. Good evening.
Good evening, Emmanuel.
My first question is to you.
Go ahead.
Your trip, was it bankrolled by Nigeria Info, the Israeli government, or by yourself? That's one. Secondly, with the new development, because Benjamin Netanyahu wanted this war to go on, I don't know if it was for pure hatred, for the Palestinians, or for his own political career to save face. So, with this intervention of the U.S., because obviously they stopped what he wanted to do, is it going to look bad, in the eyes of the Israelis now?
Thank you.
Or the status quo will remain, perhaps his image is probably going to look good.
Okay.
And then,
No. People are calling. Right, you've got two. Emmanuel. Oh dear, you've dropped the phone. So Emmanuel, the first question is, I don't know why it's important to you, but my company, my organization, the organization that I work for, Nigeria Info, sent me to Sharm el-Sheikh. It wasn't Israel. It wasn't my personal cause. No, I went there for work. So I hope that answers your question. And it certainly wasn't Palestine. It was Nigeria Info that sent me to go and cover it. That's number one. To answer your second question, I think what you'll find with regards to Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu is indeed it's widely believed that he wants the genocide to continue. He calls it a war. Of course, the Palestinians will call it a genocide. So let's use a word called conflict, because it can't be a war, because a war is two sides, symmetrical, and this is not symmetrical. Now, here's the thing. Yes, indeed, because as long as the conflict continues, they don't change. However, because President Donald Trump has taken some of the most unprecedented moves, like I said, the man's greatest credit and his greatest downfall is his unorthodox ways. And in this case, he has done what he wanted to do. And what triggered that? The moment that Israel bombed Qatar, Hamas, the Hamas Politburo, the negotiation team in Qatar, whilst going over the ceasefire negotiations, which the Americans wanted them to go over. That was it. That changed everything, because in diplomacy, again, there needs to be trust. So from that moment onwards, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu did lose American support. Indeed, I can argue, and I think I can boldly say, he annoyed President Trump. And so here we are. However, what you have seen and what you must have seen is every single, whether it's Steve Witkoff, Jared Kushner, President Trump's son-in-law, or President Trump himself, or J.D. Vance, or indeed Marco Rubio, every single one of them are doing their very best to sell Prime Minister Netanyahu to the Israelis. There's been a lot of PR to clean up his image. And the Israelis, the people of Israel, keep literally turning it down and they keep booing him. So there's going to be elections in Israel in the next couple of months. We wait and see what happens. Again, Emmanuel, if I may remind you, do you remember when President Trump was at the Knesset and he literally asked the president, Isaac Herzog, I think his name is, asked him if that he should pardon Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu for all his crimes, all the charges. Now, how do you pardon somebody that hasn't been sentenced? So you can see there's been a massive, PR cleanup to resell Prime Minister Netanyahu to the Israelis. I don't think the Israeli public are buying it. Right, I'm coming back to your calls now. Hello.
Hello, moderator and co-guest. How are you doing?
I'm very well, Titilokwe. How are you?
I'm fine. I can be better if Palestinian people are free, finally.
Well, we'll see.
Number one, I have about 3-4 questions, and I think it's going to be a dialogue, if you will. Number one.
No, you can do two. They're going to throw me off in 4 minutes.
No problem. Let me start from the diplomatic shuttle by America, and I want to start specifically with J.D. Vance. He said yesterday that was a stupid political stunt.
Yes,
what
he
can
did.
you deduce from that statement? What can you deduce from that comment he said?
Okay.
Stupid political stunt. Saying it in the public against some of his people. Stupid political stunt.
Yes,
what
I heard you.
From that statement?
Okay, what's the second question? Is that it?
The second question is, now, the second question is the International Stabilization Force. America is also talking about it now. Yes, Egypt is ready, Turkey is ready, Dubai is ready, there's some other countries are ready. Do you think, at this stage, I can say there won't be any problem at the United Nations Security Council because that will be ratified there. Since America is involved, I think it's going to go through.
Quickly, if you want me to answer.
Do you think there will be problem with Israel now? Maybe Benjamin Netanyahu or maybe far right, whatever. Because they have to, they say they are going to be involved in what happened in the security of Gaza. And don't forget,
no. Titi Lokwe, you have used up all your time. I can't answer you. I have a minute left. I have a minute left. They're going to throw me off air.
They have a rival gang there, sponsored by Israel.
Yeah.
How are they going to be managing all of these problems all together?
Okay, your first question is what? Have you even forgotten? Titi Lokwe, this is what you do. What's your first question?
The first question is, J.D. Vance.
Okay, right. I get it. Oh, you're still listening.
I want you to do something from that comment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So J.D. Vance said, yes, it was a stupid stunt. And clearly he was caught off guard. But I think what is more significant, though, for me, is that it was clear to me that J.D. Vance was outside of his depth. He was out of his depth. He didn't know how to control what was going on. Israel clearly wasn't, or at least Benjamin Netanyahu clearly wasn't afraid of him. And nobody informed him that this thing would be happening. So, and President Trump, their boss, was clearly not happy. Otherwise, he wouldn't have sent him back home and sent Marco Rubio to come and take over from him. They literally crossed paths. That's what I think. And that stupid stunt, yes, because it was going to be yet another stupid stunt. And had that been the final vote, it would have been the equivalent of what Israel did in Qatar by bombing Hamas negotiators. Let me read some text messages very quickly. Good evening, Cecile Gay. On President Trump's statement as Sharm el-Sheikh, what impact might this statement have on Israel-Palestine relations, especially those homeless, bereaved and neglected Palestinians too? What lesson from history could inform the success of the failure of this initiative? Why did Trump choose Sharm el-Sheikh? Oh my word. Yomi, you guys ask 300 questions at once and they're throwing me off and I've got to go. God, I can't go. Can I answer? No, I can't. I'm so sorry.
Big moves. Little brain. Big learning. Your little child is eager to do big things. Every sachet of Cerelac Junior comes with the nutrition they need, natural grains, protein, and iron to support their physical growth, learning, and development. So you can fully enjoy your little one's big moments of growth.
Keystone Mega Milli Giveaway. Yeah, yeah. Cash is calling. Cash is calling. Keep on winning. Oh, keep on winning. Win more. Ooh, yeah, yeah. Millions waiting.
From now to December 31st, 2025, you could be one of the 565 lucky winners in the Keystone Mega Milli Giveaway. Simply carry out 10 transactions or more on any Keystone Bank channel for weekly cash wins or save 10,000 naira or more for a month to qualify for the mega draw where millionaires are made. No account yet? Download the Key mobile app from your app store and open one today for your share of millions. T's and C's apply. Keystone Bank. We grow together.
Across Nigeria, stories are waiting to be lived. Family reunions in Calabar, big deals in Lagos, new adventures in Owerri, and one airline makes them all possible. Welcome aboard Cali Air, operated by ValueJet. Comfortable seats, friendly crew, on-time flights to Kano, Enugu, Port Harcourt, Abuja, and more. Make memories, close deals, see loved ones. Let Cali Air take you there. Book now at www.flyvaluejet.com. Cali Air, proudly cross river.
It's the choices you make that set you apart from being good to being great. My choice? Nivea Men Deep Body Lotion with Max Tech, powered by Black Carbon. Gives you both dark wood fragrance and 48-hour moisture. And my other top choice for all-day freshness, Nivea Men Deep Roll-On for 72-hour protection and fragrance with Max Tech, powered by Black Carbon. Skin is for playing it smart. Nivea is for skin.
Guess what, Nigeria? The Kellogg Superstar Quiz Show is back with Season 4. Get ready to watch young superstars from schools across Nigeria battle it out in the ultimate contest of knowledge, speed, and fun. Catch all the excitement from 12th October on Z-World, DSTV Channel 166, and GoTV Channel 30 every Saturday and Sunday at 10 a.m. sharp. It's going to be a thrilling journey of learning, laughter, and superstar moments, and you don't want to miss it.
Superstar Quiz Show.
Africa is all connected. With Turkish Airlines FlyFest, fly to Europe, to America, and to Istanbul at special prices. Book your ticket until December 15th for flights between September 15th and December 15th. For details, please visit TurkishAirlines.com. Turkish Airlines.
In the cooking game, you need a winning game plan. I'm not just talking about your fresh ingredients, utensils, or cooking skills. I'm talking about your choice of seasoning. My game plan is incomplete without Maggi chicken flavor. Made with a flavorful formation of onions, celery, turmeric, it's my game changer. Elevate the taste of your everyday dishes with delicious rich chicken flavor. Oh yeah, let's go.
New Maggi chicken flavor, my game changer.
Oh, the only detergent that keeps me bright and fresh. When I bought look at you, I wouldn't wink. Viva Murphy England. It's all this aqua hidden net in your belly. Viva, chiri, viva. Maswako, go, Reno, viva. Viva, oh, viva. Ina, some viva. Opuliche, viva.
Viva Plus detergent, a quality cleaning powder from Aspira.
Welcome back to your number one talk news and sports.
With your opinions in your voice. Join the conversation on Nigeria's first talk radio station.
It is the police and the law enforcement agents you have endangered.
What does this tell you as a Nigerian?
Go to court is part of the corrupt architectural structure.
Somebody will sue 100 billion and the court will ask the person to pay a fine. Even as a dead body, I will not vote for them.
The conversation never stops on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.
It's 5 o'clock.
The headline news on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
Lagos, here are some of the headlines we're tracking right now on 99.3 Nigeria Info. President Tinubu appoints new service chiefs in major military reshuffle. Court grants Sowore, Nnamdi Kanu's brother, others bail over Abuja protest. Sowore rearrested moments after securing bail in Abuja, and court adjourns Kanu's trial as DSS blocks access to case files. Wike says he won't testify in Nnamdi Kanu's case without court order, and Wike blasts PDP leadership, warns party risks more election defeats. Senate mulls creation of 55 new states, 300 local government. And Zelensky visits London, secures more UK support against Russia. Trump imposes fresh sanctions on Russian oil giant over war funding. And that's all for the headline news. I am Buluwatife Jegede.
Truth live from the heart of the conversation.
I think there's nothing that has strained our nerves like this concept of unity.
The politicians who are pushing out this narrative, they are not tribalistic, but they are making you tribalistic.
Nigerians have expressed outrage over the certificate forgery by Nigeria's Minister of Science and Technology.
Same-sex marriage, Church of Nigeria rejects election of new Archbishop of Canterbury.
That the people that are killed in the Boko Haram or terrorism across this country are only Christians. That is unfair.
We are complaining. Election will come. We will still collect 1,000 naira and still put for the same people.
Gas was to be sold by Dangote at 800 naira. It's all these gas dealers that block it.
Match your actions or match what you are saying with reality.
Stay with us. More coming up on 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk. Be part of the discussion. It's Borderline.
On 99.3 Nigeria Info.
And welcome back to Borderlines, the only show that takes you beyond borders. Excuse me. My next guest is so special. So very, very special on many levels. Many, many levels. Not least because 2 years ago, when this show started, he was my first guest. He didn't know me. He didn't know whether I knew anything. He didn't know whether I was intelligent. He didn't know whether I was smart. He didn't know whether I was informed. He didn't know whether I knew the history. Many, at a time when many didn't even know that Nigeria, indeed, there's a show called Borderlines, cared about what's going on in Israel-Palestine. Miko Peled, the son or grandson of one of the signatories to Israel's Declaration of Independence, whose father was an army general in the 6-Day War. Miko came on this show and he gave us the honor of his knowledge and lived experience. Miko Peled, I bet you didn't know that. You weren't expecting me to say that, were you?
No, it's very kind of you. It's very nice to hear. Thank you.
Well,
for that wonderful introduction. It's such a pleasure to see you again.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Thank you. You didn't know that at the time, but yeah, many didn't take us seriously, and here we are, 2 years later. So there's so much. I had Daniel Levy earlier. He had to go off, so we only did kind of 35, maybe 40 minutes. He couldn't do an hour. So I did an open mic. I answered questions. But I have some of the questions that I wasn't able to answer because of time, because you were coming on. So I will be adding those questions to yours, if that's okay, because I'm pretty sure you can answer them. Here we are, 2 years later. 2 years later, we have Sharm el-Sheikh. Unpack Sharm el-Sheikh for us in the Miko Peled way.
Well, again, thanks for having me. I assume you're talking about the agreements and the discussions and negotiations that took place in Sharm el-Sheikh.
Well, yes, I called it. I said to Daniel, we've had Oslo 1, Oslo 2. Do we now call this Sharm el-Sheikh 1? Or yeah.
Well, the proof is in the pudding. I mean, we can see very well on the ground that nothing has changed. And the two or three most important points that should have been addressed were not addressed. The first one is Palestinian liberation, not addressed at all. The second one is the safety and security of the Palestinian people, not addressed at all. And the third one is freedom of movement for Palestinian. And when I say, I'm not only talking about the Palestinians in the Gaza death camp, it used to be a concentration camp, now it's a death camp. I'm talking about Palestinians throughout all of Palestine. None of them enjoy liberty and freedom. None of them have any kind of law or or governing body that protects them, and they do not enjoy freedom of movement. Not in their own country, at least. And so these any agreement that does not include these and puts all the responsibility on the victims of the violence, on the victims of the genocide, and no responsibility whatsoever on those who are executing the violence, which is the state of Israel, executing the genocide. An agreement like that is meaningless. And as we see, it's already been violated. Israel violated it. Israel actually never had an agreement that they didn't violate. And so this was completely expected. But any agreement that doesn't have those elements is meaningless and worthless, and this is one more of those.
Excuse me while I get rid of my cough. Here's the thing. One of the things you've warned, which you've called, the rebuilding, the so-called rebuilding of Gaza, you've called it a Trojan horse. What exactly do you believe the term reconstruction is hiding? Because a Trojan horse implies that there's something more there that we're not seeing.
Well, first of all, like I said, what Gaza needs right now is liberation. This death camp, people need to be liberated. They need to be allowed to leave. They need to be allowed to access the resources. Palestine is a rich country. The only reason, starvation in Palestine is absurd. People dying of dehydration and that sort of thing. So they need to be liberated, and that should be the main key. This whole notion of rebuilding Gaza, that somehow, Americans and Israelis and others will come. In other words, people from the outside will come and rebuild it, and then Gaza would be governed by Tony Blair or God knows who. It's completely ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. of course there needs to be rebuilding. Of course there needs to be massive amounts of humanitarian aid. But this whole notion that it all needs to come at the approval of those who are executing the genocide, it all comes with no consequences whatsoever to those who have been committing this genocide, is, again, it's bound to fail. It's completely ridiculous. But the idea to bring more people from the outside in order to rebuild and govern and so on, I mean, it's almost like, the imperial powers haven't learned anything. The colonial powers haven't learned anything. They want to continue and do what they've done, certainly throughout Africa and through other places to maintain their control over people of color. That's basically really what this is. And they're trying to do this same thing, and it's not going to work.
Well, and this is the thing, because we've had, of course, the first stage of this peace plan, which is what they call it, Trump's peace plan. Yeah. And there's been the exchange of hostages, both from Hamas and also Palestinian hostages. But we're still in this place where, indeed, as you said, Israel, and everybody agrees, Israel never sticks to any plan. But despite the fact that Israel doesn't stick to the plan, Israel also gets the most sort of sympathy and all of that stuff, even though they constantly break the plan. What do you make of that? Why? And before we go further, there's a question that I've been wanting to ask you, and I think you will be perfect for this. Is that the second question to that is, why in God's name does America care so much about Israel, and where did it start from?
Well, that's a very good question. I think people don't realize how long the Zionists have been campaigning in the United States and in Western Europe. They've been campaigning long before the State of Israel was established. They've been campaigning at least 100 years, probably more than 100 years. Since the beginning of the 20th century, they've been campaigning, and they were very smart, and they're still, they're very good at it. They understand that, for example, here in the United States, there's a saying that goes, all politics is local. If you want to gets gifts, gets information, I mean, they are on it. Every city, every small city. Can you imagine how many cities there are in this country? The education system is a Zionist education system. There are Zionist organizations throughout the entire United States that check the textbooks, the social studies textbooks in schools here in America to make sure that words like occupation or words like settlers or settler, God forbid, settler colonialism or anything like that in reference to Israel. So they have been doing this for 100 years. In America, everybody is a Zionist unless somebody comes up and tells them that Zionism is wrong, because that's what they're educated. They see it in the churches, they see it in the synagogues, they see it in TV, they see it in popular culture. Everywhere you go, Israel is always the heroes. Arabs, Palestinians, Muslims are always the enemy. So it makes perfect sense for Americans to support Israel. I mean, that's what they learn. I mean, the other guys we know are terrorists. And you pack on top of that lies upon lies upon lies about people of color in general, and about Muslims and about Arabs. And so here you have it. It's perfectly normal and natural for Americans to support Israel because this is what they learn. Nobody is challenging that narrative in a systemic way like the Zionists have done. And so that's the big challenge. But that's why, and on top of that, you've got, every member of Congress, every member of Senate, they're all taken care of by the Israeli lobby, by the Zionist lobby. So they have an entire system of this, and they have influence on every aspect of American life. Every aspect of American life has very strong Zionist roots. So that's why they support Israel. It makes perfect sense. Now, on top of that, the weapons industry is making a lot of money selling weapons that are then being tested on Palestinians, and then they can be sold as combat proven. That's really what it's about. That's really the bottom line. That's why America supports Israel so much.
So
and that's why also they can't. Excuse me. I'll just finish. They can't let anything go. Any member of Congress, any elected official, any policy issue, they will not let go, because they know that as soon as they start losing, it's a snowball effect. They will lose all the way.
So effectively, actually, let me turn that around. Has Palestine then become that space for America to continue to extract, excuse me, what it wants, how it wants it, by using Israel? Is that what Gaza has become? And is that what the plan is for Gaza? To become yet another extractive field to feed, the American excess of colonialism, imperialism, capitalism, etc.?
Yes. Yes. I mean, I don't know that what they can extract from there. I mean, they did discover natural gas off the coast of Gaza, but I don't know so much that America is going to gain anything from this. I've never understood American support for Israel has got nothing to do, I think, with American interests, because they could support any country. I mean, it's not like they care one way or the other. So it's more what the Zionists have been doing to get America on their side. But yes, that's exactly what this is. It's another settler colonial project. It's another imperialist project. And again, it's the allowing people of European descent, white people, to take over the lands and the rights of people of color. I mean, that's been the case all along. In that regard, nothing has really changed.
Let's come back to Sharm el-Sheikh. One of the items, or 20-point plan, is for Hamas to disarm. Yet nobody, and I remember Diana Bhutto said something, the occupied is being asked to disarm, whereas the occupier is not being asked to disarm. So the occupied is being told to keep the occupier safe, but there's no pressure on the occupier to do the same. Why should Hamas disarm, and will Hamas disarm?
In 1982, after the Israeli invasion of Lebanon, at one point, the PLO, the Palestine Liberation Organization, agreed to disarm, and many of the fighters left. And they left the refugee camps unprotected, but they had guarantees from the United States that the camps would be protected and that the United States would provide that protection. It was very shortly after that we got the massacres of the refugee camp Sabra and Shatila in Lebanon. So we know that American guarantees are worthless. Certainly Israeli guarantees are worthless. I don't believe that people who are fighting for their lives against a massive genocidal regime anything should be demanded of them, certainly not to disarm. I mean, the way they portray it, it's as though the Palestinians have some kind of sort of an army and they're attacking Israel. And so they need to disarm. The entire story is turned upside down. And this is a point that I've been talking about actually quite a bit. If they're going to disarm, why are there still Israeli tanks and troops there? Why are there any Israeli tanks allowed to be anywhere in Palestine? But that's another question, and they also talk about de-radicalization. What's radical about our people fighting for their liberty? There's nothing radical about that. What's the de-radicalization needs to take place is in Israeli society, in the Israeli political arena. That's where the de-radicalization needs to take place, because we know they are radical, we know they are racist, we know they are genocidal. But again, this is the way the entire issue of Palestine is always dealt with, upside down, the wrong way.
Let's talk about this annexation vote that we saw, was it yesterday or the day before? And one of the questions I had asked, one of the callers had asked me before you came on during the sort of open mic session was, J.D. Vance said it was a stupid hoax because it was told it was a stunt or something. Do you believe it was a stunt? Or do you believe they lied and called it a stunt only because the Americans, President Trump, came out very quickly and said, heck no, you're not going to do that?
I mean, the timing, I think, is obvious. I mean, they couldn't have. I mean, the timing was not a coincidence. There's no question about that of the vote, and it was basically the Israeli government doing what it always has. It's telling the United States and the rest of the world that they will do whatever they want to do. There is no West Bank. In other words, it's ridiculous to talk about the annexation of the West Bank because there is no West Bank. It's been annexed. It's gone. All you have, I mean, it's completely integrated into the rest of the country, into Israel, There are pockets, or what they call them pockets, but they are really ghettos of Palestinians, some 3.5 million Palestinians living in ghettos throughout that area that used to be the West Bank. But it doesn't exist. There are big Israeli cities built for Israeli Jews only. There are highways and shopping malls and schools. I mean, we're talking about, major billions of dollars invested in development for Jews only. So I think a lot of times people, when they hear the word settlement, they think of a farm or something small. We're talking about major cities, major cities. The West Bank is gone. It does not exist. The only thing that reminds us that there used to be a West Bank is the Palestinians living in ghettos, surrounded by Israeli settlements, surrounded by checkpoints, surrounded by the military, attacked on a regular basis by settlers and the Israeli army. So there is no West Bank. So this whole conversation is just symbolic. It's just to appease, the settlers, the settlers that sit in the cabinet. Otherwise, it's completely meaningless because, like I said, it's been annexed, it's gone.
So, okay, in that case, you bring one of my later questions forward then. If the West Bank is gone, as you've said, and many have said the same thing, like, what is there to negotiate on? What then is this two-state solution, and where is the line?
There is no two-state solution. Two-state solution is a myth. It's always been a myth. It's a very safe myth because everybody knows it can never be achieved. And yet it pretends to show some kind of regard for the right of self-determination for the Palestinians. But it's a hoax. It's a joke. There can never be a two-state solution. There never will be a two-state solution. There's either going to be an apartheid regime, which we see now, which is a genocidal, not only apartheid, but it's a genocidal apartheid regime, or we fight, which is to remove the apartheid regime and establish a real free Palestine with equal rights, a democratic free Palestine with equal rights. Those are the two options.
Since you are on the show, you now say, or at least as of that time I wasn't aware you said this, but I now know that when people ask you where you come from, you said, I am from Palestine. What does that mean?
Yeah. It means that the regime that has taken over Palestine and decided to rename it has no legitimacy in my view, and should not have any legitimacy. When we call a country by the name that the Zionists gave it, Israel, we are legitimizing a genocidal apartheid regime. So the country is Palestine. It's been Palestine for thousands of years. It will continue to be Palestine once this dark chapter of the Zionist occupation ends. So if you ask me where I'm from, the country is, of course, it's Palestine. And I invite all people to remember that the country's name was Palestine. And the people who are the indigenous Palestinians continue to call it Palestine. And we should do the same. And so that people understand that what is happening now, this settler colonial project that has been destroying Palestine and trying to annihilate the Palestinian people, needs to be brought to an end so Palestine can go back to being Palestine. And it was always like a mosaic. It was a tolerant place. It was a place where different religions, different ethnic groups resided, and so on throughout the millennium. And it needs to go back to that. And that is the vision. The vision of a free Palestine with equal rights is the only vision that benefits everyone who lives there. But primarily, it will guarantee the rights of the Palestinian people to return to their land, to live in safety and security, which right now they can't do. But yes, completely. I mean, and also my sense of loyalty, my sense of belonging is to Palestine as Palestine.
Miko, it's interesting what this sort of the penultimate sentence you made is that for the Palestinians to return and to resettle back into their land, you're basically, and correct me if I'm wrong, you are campaigning or proposing the sort of allyship that many Israelis, even the liberals, would not propose, which is, I am ready to give up the land that was bestowed on me by Zionism for the people, back to the people, and hand it back to the people who actually own that land. Is that what you're saying?
Yes, absolutely. I mean, who are the Zionists to bestow land on anyone? You know, they talk about the Balfour Declaration when the British Foreign Secretary promised the Jewish millionaire by the name of Rothschild Palestine. It was two white racists who had nothing to do with Palestine giving a country that belongs to other people that don't matter because they're not European and they're not white, to each other. They're talking about it as though they own it, as though they have the right to, like you said, to bestow it on somebody else. It was theft and murder, and Palestinians have a right to return and get what's rightfully theirs, receive what's rightfully theirs. And then, the settlers, Israelis are like the whites in South Africa. They were settlers, they were colonizers, but now they're part of the landscape. Israelis are the same. They're part of the landscape in Palestine now. But to live at the expense of Palestinians, to me, is completely, that needs to be reversed completely, yes.
Okay, back to the one-state solution then. If we're going to talk one state, we have to talk about Zionism. Zionism itself as a structure, as an ideology, as a political, almost even as an existence, and as a society. Do you think, or perhaps I should frame my question another way, and I'm going to self-reference now. I have always been of the belief that for us to truly get to the healing, which I don't believe anybody's talking about yet, for us to truly get to a place of truth, to a place of healing, we have to get to a place of truth. And for us to truly get to a place of truth, Zionism must be confronted, not by the Palestinians, but by the Israelis. And therefore, the moment Zionism is confronted, unless Zionism is outlawed, the way Nazism was outlawed, then Israel cannot begin to talk about anything else. Would you agree with that?
Well, Nazism was outlawed after the Nazis were defeated. Zionists have to be defeated. They have to be brought to their knees. Granted, I don't think we can, I'm not talking necessarily about an armed confrontation. I'm talking about severe sanctions and so forth, like the example of apartheid in South Africa. But first of all, you have to defeat the regime. You have to bring it down. And once Israeli society, which is, largely supports the genocide, once they are on their knees, they will begin to confront their past. It's not going to happen until Zionism is defeated. And the only way to defeat it is to stand with the Palestinian people, not just in solidarity, but in resistance, supporting them in every form of resistance that they pursue. And granted, most of the Palestinian resistance has been unarmed through the decades. And to stand with the Palestinian people and demand that the fall of the apartheid state. And what's interesting, I have to say this, since you're in Nigeria, one of the things that puzzles me the most is African support for Israel and the fact that Israel has diplomatic missions in over 40 African countries, and Israeli delegates are there, and Israel shows up at the at all these events and all these
yes,
arenas. Why is Israel allowed to even set foot officially on the continent after all the horrors that they committed, not only in Palestine, but all the horrors that they supported in Africa against African? We all need to unite on this. Diplomatic missions, I believe, need to be closed down. Any trade needs to end. And they need to be treated like the pariah that they are until they fall on their knees, and then liberation will be for everyone. And I think this will benefit everyone. It will benefit anybody who has ever suffered from settler colonialism and racism.
So how do we get to this one-state solution? I'm still going to go back to Sharm el-Sheikh, but since we're here, and I know you're a big major campaigner, you and Ilan Pape, you've constantly campaigned for a one-state solution. How are we going to get that? Because, Miko, there isn't a single world leader who has so much mentioned that. None of them, no leader at the UN, unless I've missed it, has said anything about a one-state solution. All they've said is two states. Where do we start from?
Well, first of all, I'd rephrase the question a little bit. One state is the reality. There's a single state on all of Palestine. It's the apartheid state. The apartheid state governs the lives of everyone who lives there, granted under different sets of laws for different people. Israeli Jews live on the privileged side, and the Palestinians live under different sets of laws that are, racist, horrible, segregationist laws. So one state is the reality. Two states, everybody knows, is a myth. Even the people that talk about it know, world leaders know that it's a myth. And if they don't, then they are criminally, ignorant. So for example, I with some Palestinian comrades established an organization, and we have a space here in Washington, D.C. on Capitol Hill, right near the Capitol, where we are, our purpose is to robustly, in a very robust way, educate Americans and educate politicians here about this idea of, moving from a one state that is an apartheid state. And it's not because I say it, it's never mind the fact that Palestinians have been saying, but Amnesty International has said it, and many other institutions have said that it is an apartheid regime. And so to move from supporting that to supporting the idea of a liberated Palestine from the river to the sea. Right now, I'm sure you know this, if you say river to the sea, if you say free Palestine, if you say liberation, then they say you're anti-Semitic, you're a terrorist, and so on, which is, of course, nonsense. So we have to focus on educating people and making them see the one state, two state is not the conversation. The conversation is Palestine under apartheid regime called Israel, or a free Palestine with equal rights. Those are the options. Like we said, there's no West Bank. The settlers are Israelis are everywhere. The settlements are everywhere. This whole idea that Palestinians need to accept the smaller portion of their country because in the two-state solution, Palestinians, who decided the Palestinians get the small portion? Maybe the Israelis should move into the small portion. Palestinians should have the right to the bigger portion, right? All of these things are completely absurd. And at the end of the day, what are the virtues of two states? What are the virtues of more separation and segregation? Knowing full well it's an impossibility, which takes us to the very beginning, which is this is an empty conversation. This is complete nonsense. So the conversation has to be on the liberation of all of Palestine. And that used to be the conversations in the 60s and 70s. And then it was dumbed down with all these ideas of peace and negotiating with Israel and so forth, which of course was a big mistake. So we need to revive that. And it is being revived. I mean, here in the United States, the student encampments last year and a lot of the movements and all these new initiatives that have come up, which were wonderful, all talk about liberation from the river to the sea. There is no misunderstanding here at all. And I think, Africans, if they look at their history and people in other parts of the world liberation is an important word to talk about, to put out there in this context. So I think that's really what needs to be done. The fact that they're not talking about it yet is because right now they don't, it's safe for leaders, for world leaders, for heads of state to say to state because it doesn't mean anything. So they don't have to do anything. If they talked about liberation, now that's a whole different thing. Now they're talking about liberation versus oppression. Now they can't make it into a two-sided kind of it's not a conflict anymore. Now it's a fight for liberation against oppression. It changes the paradigm completely if you use the word liberation. And they're afraid to do that. Nobody wants to be the first one to do that. But that should be the conversation in the context of Palestine: liberation versus oppression, not peace and two states and negotiating with this genocidal regime. All of that makes absolutely no sense. And there's a history. We've seen 100 years in Palestine. We've seen what they've done.
Indeed. And even in the 20-point plan, there is the word liberation and indeed emancipation of the Palestinians. It doesn't even feature, and that's critical. Let's talk about this trusteeship and Tony Blair and, the International Commission. What are your thoughts on that? I mean, is this pragmatic, or is it just a dangerous rebranding of another takeover, another form of new colonization?
Definitely, it's the latter. It's a new branding of the takeover. And on top of that, it's never going to happen because Israel violated the ceasefire. They're bombing the Gaza death camp again, and they're denying humanitarian aid again. And again, like you said, there's no talk about emancipation. There's no talk about liberty. There's no talk about freedom of access to resources. Palestine is a rich country. Why do Palestinians need aid to come from across the world and enter through Gaza? And the discretion for what is allowed to go in or not is in the hands of the genocidal regime committing the genocide. Why would they allow humanitarian aid when they want people to die? It's upside down. It's completely absurd. But no, it is another form of colonization and takeover, but it's never going to happen because Israel wants to continue the genocide and complete the job.
I need to ask you a personal question, Miko, and I know you're not afraid of anything. What would your dad say right now? What would he say? I mean, this is, I've told all of you, Miko's dad was a general in the 1967, the 6-Day War, if you like. And I think, if I'm correct, Miko, he became disillusioned not long after that and was not happy with Israel and questioned everything that he was told and said, you lied to us. What would he say right now?
Well, his disillusion was, in other words, his focus was on this idea of a two-state solution. He's one of the people who initiated this idea right immediately after the war, after the 1967 war. And then he pursued that idea of the two-state solution and peace with the Palestinians and negotiating, because his claim was this is the only way to maintain the state of Israel. Because if the state of Israel does not allow the Palestinians a state, then it will not survive. And of course, he was right. I think today he would stand very firmly behind the idea of a free, liberated Palestine with equal rights, because that's the only way other than the genocide. So, and he was a very forward-thinking man politically. He talked about two states. People said to him, "Are you crazy? We just took these lands. You want us to give them back? What are you talking about?" And he said, well, it's not about that. It's about the fact that we have to recognize that there is another nation living here, and then we need to respect at least the rights, at least in a symbolic way, at least with a small state. But of course, as he was saying this, Israel was destroying and building only for Jews in the West Bank, like they did everywhere else. But I'm absolutely certain that had he been alive today, he would have realized that there's only one solution that benefits everyone who lives in historic Palestine, and that's a free, democratic Palestine with equal rights.
Indeed. You can call now. I'm going to open up the line 0201 277 0993, 0201 465 7190, or send your messages to WhatsApp 0809 597 5805. I'm Miko. In case you've forgotten what they're like, they've already started calling. Right, do you have a pen near you, Miko? Because I'm going to be answering them sort of 2 or 3 at a time. So I'll give you time. This is you want to grab a pen?
There's a pen here somewhere. Hold on.
Before I unleash my co-hosts on you.
Oh, my goodness.
Yes,
Oh, my goodness.
yes.
Found a pen.
There you go. Right, okay. I'm coming to your calls now. 1 question per person, short, sharp, and succinct. Hello.
Hello.
Turn off your radio. Yes, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Yeah. Right. Can't we have a model, the Cypriot model, when Turkey invaded Cyprus in 1974, and there was a buffer zone in Nicosia. We have the southern, the Cypriot, the Greek Cypriot, and the north, the Turkish Cypriots. Can't we have something like that? Why can't we have something like that where the Arabs will do something about it? Because I listened to your guest, and I think his idea, I think, is the best, where we have a one nation, and as I said, the Israelis, they are like there's appetite, and they are like Rhodesia of those days.
So what you're talking about is like you have the Greek Cypriots and you have the Turkish Cypriots.
The Greek model.
Right. Yes. Okay. There you go. Is that possible, Miko? Write that down. I'll come back to you in a moment. Hello.
Yeah. Good evening, SCCOB.
Good evening. Short question.
Yeah. It's Manuel.
Go ahead.
Your guest talked about the Israeli lobby in the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
And I asked one of your previous guests this question, I think about 2 weeks ago. You know that what will the Israeli lobby look like now when we have the Gen Z who seems to have more understanding about the region, about the maps, about the geography? You know, putting into cognizance that, in fact, they pressure the Spanish government. You know, cities, essence.
I need you to wrap up, Emmanuel. What is your question? Be short.
What will the Israeli lobby look like? Is this still significant going forward? Thank you.
Okay, thank you. You heard that, Miko. What will the Israeli lobby? You mentioned about the Israeli lobby. Now we have the Gen Zs, right? Is it still going to be significant given the Gen Zs, right? Okay. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, this is Yusuf.
Go ahead.
I see. Incidentally, my father is also Bakare, and I'm Yusuf.
Okay. Go ahead.
All right. Your guest is saying that two-state solution is not possible. It's a myth.
Mm-hmm.
Just like it was not created in South Africa.
Mm-hmm.
But the apartheid regime in Israel, if today we have a one-state solution, would they recognize these Palestinians as even second or third class citizens? Because we still have Arab in present day Israel.
Okay,
who are becoming voiceless.
Okay.
Would they accept them?
Okay, thank you.
That is my question.
Thank you. Under the one-state solution, will Israel accept Arabs, Palestinians, especially as they don't even accept them now? Right. Miko, can I give him a minute too? Right, those 3 questions, they're all the lines are going. So over to you. How long do you want? 1.5 minutes? Go ahead.
Yeah, it's fine. So the Cyprus model, again, it's a two-state solution model. It's not going to work. An impossibility. The Israeli Jews and Palestinians live in very close proximity geographically, and yet they're completely segregated. It's a very effective segregation. And so, again, that's not a possibility at all. The Israeli lobby is in defensive mode. That's a really good question. They are being attacked. The new young politicians running for office, their first campaign slogan is "No AIPAC money, no Israeli lobby money," and that gets the biggest applause. That is the new slogan of new politicians. There's a shift here in the United States in that regard, and that's a very, very good thing. And then it's not, once the apartheid regime falls, it will not be about Israel controlling there will be no Israel. Israel is a regime that needs to be removed. Israel is the apartheid regime. The fact that they named it Israel and it's biblical and so on, sometimes it's hard for people to come out against it. Israel is the apartheid regime. It's going to collapse. The country will go back to being Palestine. It will be a free, democratic Palestine. They will have one person, one vote elections and move on. So everybody will have equal rights. There will be the rule of law. There will be a constitution, which they don't have. So we're talking about a complete end to the reality where Israelis enjoy all the privileges and all the rights and the control of Palestinian lives.
Excellent. Hello. You need to hurry up. Hello.
Hello, good evening. God bless you. See you again.
Good evening. Yes. Go ahead.
How work?
Our work is fine. Can you ask your question?
My name is Benjamin. I want to come in this way to, let me say, draw a picture of what is happening in that Gaza place.
Very quickly. Very quickly.
For example, now in our country, we have what we call Boko Haram.
Right. Everybody, it's bizarre how they want to compare that. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Yeah, good afternoon to your guest. This is the Merchant Man.
Okay, go ahead, Merchant Man.
Yeah, my question is, what is the safety of ordinary Palestinians and even some of Israeli citizens in the face of a situation whereby the arms of the Hamas were not really mop up? They were not extremely disarmed before the peace truce.
Oh, are you saying what was the state of the Palestinians before October 7th and the Israelis before October 7th?
No. There was a footage I watched 3 days ago.
Okay.
Where in the face of the ongoing peace talk, some of the Hamas militants were killing some of
Palestinians. Right. The gangs. Okay.
Yes. Naming them saboteurs.
Yes.
They were leaking their secrets.
Yes.
So in the face of that, what is the safety of ordinary Palestinian and even some Israelis when those militants have not been extremely exterminated?
Yes, thank you. Interesting question, actually. So I'm sure you've seen the footage where Hamas were assassinating those they call the gangs. I'd like you to talk to that. And what Merchant Man wants to know is, what is the safety of Palestinians if Hamas doesn't disarm and if Hamas is still able to do that? I have a question here on WhatsApp from Ajibade, who said, please ask him, is there any difference between Putin and Netanyahu? As far as I'm concerned, they are both war criminals. Over to you, Miko. You have 2 minutes.
Okay. So basically, we had the question about the gangs and the collaborators.
Yes.
Well, Israel always, Israel hasn't invented anything. Every colonial regime, every occupier, every oppressor in the history always had to use collaborators from within the occupied, from within the oppressed, using their weakness in order to gain information, in order to gain control, by paying off people and so forth. Well, Palestine is no different. Palestine is plagued with this thing of collaborators. And so what we're seeing in Gaza, of course, Israel is trying to, foment more and more violence and more controversy among Palestinians. So that's what it is. Safety of Palestine. There is no such thing as safety for Palestinians. Any Israeli can kill any Palestinian anywhere between the Jordan River and the Mediterranean, and there are no consequences. Nobody cares. The police won't even start an investigation. Certainly, Palestinians kill Palestinians. That's even better than for Israel. That's like it's a dream come true. There is no such thing as safety. Palestinians are not protected by any law, by any government, by any institution. Nothing. Laws for Palestinians are the laws of oppression, the laws that limit their lives and make their lives hell. That's what the laws are for Palestinians. There is no law that protects them. There is no institution, no body that protects Palestinians. But Palestinian lives are expendable. And that's exactly the problem. That's why Israel is allowed to commit this genocide. And I would argue that genocide started when Israel was established. It didn't start 2 years ago. So there is no such thing as safety. There are no guarantees. There are there's no such thing as safety and security for Palestinians.
Okay, let me ask my question quickly before the lines go again. So we have Tony Blair that's about to be that may be the CEO of this new so-called organization that's going to oversee Gaza. I don't even know what to call it, although they have a sort of fancy name for it. What are your thoughts on that? The very same Tony Blair, former Prime Minister of the UK, the man who, with George Bush, said Saddam had weapons of mass destruction, who then came out later, having killed almost 1 million Iraqis, to apologize. What are we to make of that?
Well, it's complete nonsense. I mean, for a non-Palestinian to come and govern Palestinians, it makes no sense whatsoever. It's like you said earlier. It's just a different name for taking power over away from the Palestinians, but I don't think it's going to happen. I mean, Israel violated the ceasefire and is continuing the genocide. So all of that 20-point plan and all these pie in the sky dreams, none of it's going to come to fruition because Israel violated and is bombing heavily, both in the Gaza death camp and now in Lebanon for a while. They've been bombing Lebanon as well. Israel is the most destabilizing element in Western Asia and North Africa. I mean, that's been the case from the very beginning. So I don't believe any of that is going to actually take place. Tony Blair or not Tony. It's funny that they bring Tony Blair suddenly. Why the hell Tony Blair? I mean, what virtue is so
that's what I'm asking. Where did he come from?
Is the virtue
so left field?
I don't know. They pull him out every so often. They pull him out and they pretend like he's going to do something in the middle, in Palestine, and then nothing happens again. I don't understand it. It's completely absurd. It's completely absurd.
Thank you. Hello.
I want to ask you a guest. Hello?
I can hear you very quickly.
Okay. Yeah, I'm Monica from First Tag. I just want to ask you a guest. Given the fact, I mean, I like his, although he's a little bit utopian from the realities, but we never know. For that one state version that, or his
yes, one state solution,
that is favoring.
Yes.
Is it possible for it to happen without the support of America's president?
Okay.
And is it possible to have an American president that will not be Zionist?
Okay, that will not be pro-Israel.
All the forces, including CIA.
Thank you. It's an interesting question. Is it possible to have an American president that's not pro-Israel? And I have a question here, Sergey. Please ask your guest, why are Palestinians not loved by Arabs? That's from Aki. And then I'm going to pick up one more call. Hello.
Yeah, welcome.
Titula, very quickly, short question, short.
Yes, thank you. One state solution is not feasible. At the end of the day, you're going to have democracy. Look at the population of
What is your short question? I'm literally about to go off air. What is your short question?
The point is that democratically, it will not be at the disadvantage of the Israeli of today. So by that reason, it's not feasible. Problem will continue. Let everybody go apart and be on their own. Thank you.
Thank you. Well, that's a comment, not a question. So there you go. Can I give you a minute to answer those three, Miko, if I can, so I can sneak in a couple more? The lines are going crazy.
Yes, I think U.S. support. Of course, none of this happens without American support. However, if you remember, the United States was the last country to support the fight against apartheid in South Africa. So, what is happening in the United States is because of the pressure from below, the politics is changing. And so gradually the politics is going to change, and the idea of supporting Zionism is going, people will understand it's something that's absurd, that there should be no tolerance for Zionism. So that's a work in progress. Politicians only do the right thing when they're forced to do so. Their constituents have to make them do it. But I believe we're on our way to get to that point. And I don't accept that Arabs don't like Palestinians. I mean, I don't know any Arab country that doesn't support the Palestinians, from Yemen all the way up to, Northern Africa and everywhere you go. Of course, there's support. What I think the caller is asking about is the Arab governments. And Arab governments have seen what happened when you're an Arab government and you support the Palestinians and you stand up to Israel, you end up like Iraq, you end up like Syria, you end up like Yemen, you end up like Libya. That's what happens to them. So they have to be careful. They don't want their countries destroyed. So they have to walk a very, very fine line. On the one hand, their constituents support Palestine and so forth, but on the other hand, they have to maintain their country. They don't want to end up like Libya. So, but I don't believe that the Arabs don't like Palestinians. I believe it's exactly the opposite.
Okay. Antitolokwe says he doesn't agree with you on the first. Well, that's his opinion. But let me stick in one question. Mamdani, he is literally that politician. I know you don't live in New York, but, you know, you kind of sound like a New York guy. You don't really sound like a Washington guy, actually, Miko. If I may be honest, you don't. Washington people are so sterile in so many ways.
They are,
yeah. Really. So, you know, Mamdani, do you think he can win, given his stance? The fact that he has said he will arrest Benjamin Netanyahu if he comes into New York, should he become mayor? Or do you think if he does become mayor, he will chicken out and he won't do it? Will he go all diplomacy or not?
I hope not. I think his victory is pretty much guaranteed unless something horrible happens. I think it's guaranteed. I think he set the new tone for young politicians in America. Courageous, standing up for what they believe in. And the Mamdani model is now the model that every other candidate, all the young candidates are going after. You know, he's very personable. He's very friendly. He's very positive. He does not budge. He's very good, you know, in explaining himself. So, God willing, he will become the mayor of New York, and that will be the new model of American politicians. Absolutely.
Miko Peled, you are the first friend of the house. You are now always friend of the house. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you.
The pleasure is mine. Thank you. All the best. Have a fabulous weekend.
Now, wow. Oga, 73 years not a show for your eyes. Oh. You see, they look your phone with ordinary eyes and it's still they sharp. All the shine on top.
My pikin, sense don't be so. Now, Visionaries eye supplement. Now, I drink every day.
Visionaries eye supplement.
One sharp eyes not be by age. Visionaries eye supplement is made from natural ingredients and contains essential vitamins plus omega-3. Visionaries eye supplement is a product of Vitabiotics UK. Visionaries, let your eyes speak.
Keystone Mega Milli giveaway. Cash is calling. Cash is calling. Keep on winning. Oh, keep on winning. Win more. Ooh, millions waiting.
From now to December 31st, 2025, you could be one of the 565 lucky winners in the Keystone Mega Milli giveaway. Simply carry out 10 transactions or more on any Keystone Bank channel for weekly cash wins, or save 10,000 naira or more for a month to qualify for the mega draw where millionaires are made. No account yet? Download the Key mobile app from your app store and open one today for your share of millions. T's and C's apply. Keystone Bank. We grow together.
Hey, Omo! See package! This is what I call full house.
Yes, sir. That's me.
Who's talking about you? I'm talking about this Peak Yogurt Drink Full House Pack in your hand.
The Peak Yogurt Drink 1 liter Full House Pack with more refreshment contains fresh cow milk. Share and enjoy full house goodness filled with essential vitamins and minerals. Peak. Reach for your peak.
It's the Indomie Eat and Win promo. The more you eat, the more you win. How to win? Buy the Indomie Eat and Win promo pack. Find the promo code inside. Visit indomie.ng/eat and win. Enter your promo code and start earning points fast for a chance to win exciting gifts and 1 million naira cash every week for a lucky winner. So hurry now, eat and win. Let the winning begin. Visit indomie.ng/eat and win for more details. Terms and conditions apply.
This one where you dey share Coke and Fanta today. What's it happen?
My guy, you never hear them say 35cl plastic bottle don't drop to 300 naira.
300 naira. No be 350 with the buy am before. Yes, so the price don't change. Now 300 naira now. Meaning say you dey save 50 naira for every bottle. This one na real small price, big refreshment. Oh yeah, my guy, you say take one bottle.
No lose guard, grab your favorite 35cl plastic bottle for Coke, Fanta or Sprite for just 300 naira for any store for your side. Promo go end when I will finish. Coca-Cola, real wonder.
See, everybody with him own wahala. Every day comes with its own version of challenges, and you have to be ready to face them, because only then can you move on to the next. That's why I never miss my breakfast. Scratch that. My peak breakfast, with the nutrients and energy I need to face each day, one challenge at a time.
Every day is a good day to power on with a peak breakfast. Have you had your peak? Reach for your peak.
It's the choices you make that set you apart from being good to being great. My choice? Nivea Men Deep Body Lotion with Max Tech, powered by Black Carbon. Gives you both dark wood fragrance and 48-hour moisture. And my other top choice for all-day freshness, Nivea Men Deep Roll-On for 72-hour protection and fragrance with Max Tech, powered by Black Carbon. Skin is for playing it smart. Nivea is for skin.
My mama no lie, oh. Food waste with na money kill and plus everything combined, oh. Everything combined, oh. Ogbonge just the arrive, oh. She tell me say na Devon King, so yeah, all she dey use fry, oh. Yeah. Now why did you love it this sweet like this? Chicken in the crisp like this. Fry the plantain, the chips and fish. Everything sweet and bliss. It's very, very soja, my cheese. Now we dey run it down like this. We dey cook it, we dey fry with cheese. Devon King oil is very, very.
Introducing the new Devon King's Soya Vegetable Oil from Devon King's, our trusted family brand. Available in stores nationwide.
99.3 Nigeria Info, your number one station for talk. Let's talk.
Stay informed and stay connected on 99.3.
6 p.m. and the Golden Penny 65th anniversary Buy and Win Golden promotion is on. 4 billion naira in prizes. It's time to celebrate and win big.